Hi everyone, and welcome to the Warhammer podcast. We're your hosts, Jack
and Dan.
Today we're going to be looking at a few bits of news that's came out recently, and also be covering the Combat Patrol magazines that came out, and basically answer the question: is it actually worth it?
Yeah, let's dive straight into the news. Lots been happening again this month. January's kicked off the year in style.
Yeah.
Let's start with one of our favourite factions.
You know what? This thing that came out is not. It's done me dirty. Basically, it's ruined my New Year's resolution
already
of not buying Warhammer. But one of the latest news that just came out is there was a made to order on the GW website in regards to some new Necron models, and me being a Necron fan, kind of.
So when
rub my hands together
when our codex came out last year, and they dropped a couple of new models, three new models and some new data cards, and you just clicked buy all, didn't you?
Click buy all.
And what did you? And this time with the made to order, what did you do?
Yeah, so I bought,
same.
Yeah, almost. So I've bought. Well, let's go run through the list first before I say what I've bought. But they had a Necron Overlord with a Resurrection Orb, an old Necron Lord with a Res Orb, an old Necron Cryptek model. A Necron Locust Lord conversion kit, because it's only part of the body that's on it and not the full body.
Yeah, you use this to convert an existing destroyer, don't you?
Exactly. And then we've got not Necron stuff, which is quite a surprise. We've got the Chaos Space Marine. What's his
Huron
name?
Blackheart.
Yeah, so we've got him coming out, which looks like a really cool model, to be fair.
Yeah, he is.
Looks really nice. And then lastly, we've got an Iron Warrior Warsmith as well. Very Necron heavy, this one.
Yes, yeah, which is, I think it felt a bit to me like a response to criticism that we didn't get as many models as people had hoped when the codex dropped. But it's either way, it's a win for us, isn't it?
It is. Yeah. I mean, I love all the models, and yes, I did. As soon as this came up, it was 10 o'clock just yesterday on Saturday. I was buying now.
Yeah.
But not all of them. Luckily, not all of them. I have far too many models to paint and build over Christmas time. But I picked up 3 Necron Lord conversion kits. I only need 2, but it's just like an addict going on here. But I bought 3 for the future, just in case I want to convert another one, because you can bring up to 3 of the same models in this edition.
Yes.
So I wanted to have 3 just in case.
I've got one that I bought second hand. He's not in. He's looking a bit sad, so he needs a bit of love. But I was tempted to buy another one because I've got, or will shortly have, 12 of the Locust Destroyers, so I could have one for each unit.
There we go.
But I might just beg your spare one.
Yeah, I don't see why not. Well, the thing is, and again, here's me trying to justify my spending here, but on the website, there were only £9 per one, and
that's cheap.
It is, because if you look on eBay, they are going for, the cheapest one that I've seen was going for £18, and that was only one of them. And then all the other ones are like 30 odd quid, but then they're also either really well painted or really badly painted.
Yeah.
And recovering that old paint off those models can be quite difficult.
It adds an awful lot more time into the process, doesn't it?
Exactly. So
the only one I'm sticking to my resolution at the moment. No new models, so I've painted what I've got.
Stronger than some.
I mean, we'll see how long it lasts. The one that I really wanted, which I haven't got from here, was the Necron Lord. I absolutely love that model. There's something about his pose, and I just it
is good.
Yeah, I love his cloak. I do think the cloak adds a bit extra to the model as well.
Yeah, it's a bit of character, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. Like it. So he's got kind of. He was kind of the model that kind of bridges the gap between older Necrons and newer ones, I think, in that respect. True. He looks a bit more like the old kind of killer robots that we used to have. Yeah.
And it's interesting as well, because the Necron Lord is no longer in the Codex anymore.
Yeah.
So they've released this one, but he's actually not in there. So you would have to run him as a Necron Overlord, and most likely you'd have to change his base size as well. So if you were going to buy him, change the base size. And then as long as the whatever tournament you're playing in allows conversions, then it'll be fine.
But yeah, overall, we're delighted to see those. Huron Blackheart was a funny one. There was a rumour Valrak was talking about, as he what does he call it, a very faint whisper in the warp or something like that. But he'd heard rumours around Huron Blackheart, and he thought that might mean a new model.
Oh, okay, right.
So I'm wondering if this means, if this was actually what was happening, or maybe we'll get a new Huron Blackheart later this year. We'll see.
We'll have to see. Some other news that's coming out then is quite a few reveals kind of coming out back on the 29th of December.
The silhouettes.
The silhouettes that they absolutely love doing. They kind of give the hint away already, though, because they said that, obviously, the Votan Custodes or Tauan Orcs are all coming out. So in the same video, they almost spoiled what the releases were.
So the top silhouette, I thought the same as you, that this was a Votan to start with.
Yeah.
And then Custodes players were like, no, it's not. It's a Custodes.
Yeah,
and that makes sense with the Codex. As you said, the Codex schedule for spring is Custodes, isn't it?
Exactly.
But he just looks a bit kind of squat. No pun intended.
Yeah, literally. Yeah. So a bit short, a bit stocky.
Yeah, a bit stocky and short, yeah.
Because normally it's like, obviously, with the Custodes, they've got the long spears, but looking at that, they're either hiding the spear behind his arm. Actually, no, because I do see a spear
you can
there.
kind of see it coming down underneath his. Yeah, the silhouette makes it difficult to see. But yeah, the expert verdict from the Custodes lads and lasses was that it's probably a melter spear. But it must be the pose that he's in. It'll make sense when we see the actual image, but it just doesn't look tall enough to be Custodes.
It could be the angle as well, couldn't it? Yeah, for sure. Hiding his little head.
Well, the next one's pretty exciting.
Oh, right, yeah. This is like, there's definitely a Kroot model for the Tau faction. On site, I don't know, I actually forgot what those creatures are called.
Yeah, I can't remember what it's called either. It's basically like a giant lizard, isn't it?
Yeah,
it's a Kroot riding a dinosaur.
That's it. Yeah, that's all you need to know. That's it. Stop it right there. Again, look, I'm looking forward to that. Now, I don't have the Tau army, but I've got a small Tau collection myself. This holds a very close heart.
It was one of your early armies, wasn't it?
It was, yeah, back in like 2014, 13, when I bought them when I was 15.
Baby Jack.
Little baby Jack. little me. But yeah, no, looking forward to that model as well. Looks really good. And the last one.
I was just going to say before we go on to that one, that this one looks like, if the rumours are true, that it could be the start of the return of the Kroot in a canny big way.
What, like
so that we could see there's some talk might get a full Kroot box, but there might be whether you'd be able to field an entire Kroot army, that would be class.
Yeah, that would be fun.
They're definitely bringing them back to play a bigger role in a Tau, which is great.
It would be good, but I'm too big of a fan of Farsight and his Enclave, because you can't have Kroot in that commander, so because he's a
racist.
He's a racist. Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, he absolutely is. The last one, that 100% is an orc, right?
Yeah.
You know, it's just the I don't know what the weapon's called, but the weapon on the side just looks orky, basically. Looks like a big model as well. Probably
he's definitely a chunker. He's either a name character or a war boss, I think. Yeah, something like that.
Some big fella. But he looks cool. Looking forward to seeing him as well.
Yeah, that looks. I'm guessing maybe that's like a custom Mega Blaster. That big kind of gun with several sort of arms coming off it. Yeah, whatever it is, that'll be good fun. And I know our friend Dan will be right all over that.
Oh, for sure. He really will be. And the last bit of kind of news that's kind of going out is we're going to be going to Warhammer World, doing the Warhammer tournament, the doubles tournament.
Tickets go on sale tomorrow, so we say we're going, but we'll have to get some tickets first. I'll be straight on there as soon as it opens.
The responsibility, Dan. So if you don't get them done,
if I mess up,
it's fault.
If I've got a black eye at the next podcast, you'll know why.
Yes.
But yeah, we're definitely. This is I can't remember the name. Is it Throne of Skulls or something?
I didn't even check. I heard doubles. Sounds like yes,
it's
please.
a thematic doubles. They actually called it casual competitive. That somebody's watching our podcast and taking notes.
I told you, Dan. They're watching podcasts. You know, all them views.
Yeah, but which is that's what we would say we are. You know, and it's right up our street, and it's. I don't think as ITC point, so it won't attract as many sharks into the tank as you would, a proper GT. So it's doubles, it's casual competitive, it's right up our street. So yeah, if we can get tickets, we're going.
It'd be good. I think we're going to split up, aren't we? Cover more ground.
I know, yeah.
Although we are the dream team.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
Yes, I think so. We're going with a couple of our friends, one of whose birthday it is. Yes. So we're going to split up and
probably a few too many drinks, or food.
We'll see how we get on. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. As we've mentioned, if you're a regular viewer or listener, you'll know that we're very enthusiastic about doubles after we played in a local tournament and had some games with our pals. So it's if you haven't tried doubles yet, get on it. It's great fun.
What we are saying, I think most people are saying, is that it just seems like the new way of playing. I don't know why. It was really fun, really good, really casual, and didn't feel as stressful. Yeah. Again, I think I mentioned last time the way I was all melee and you were all shooting. Yeah. And I think that really helped me. I was like, I'm not as stressed because there's an entire phase of me not needing to do this, do that, do this. I was just like, what saves am I making? You just help them, kind of thing. It was quite nice.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it, and we'll get some practice games in and see how it goes. But yeah, fingers crossed we get the tickets. But if you are going to be there, come and say hello. We'd love to see you.
Definitely. And the last bit is really just kind of the rumours and leaks. Now these ones look a bit sketchy, and if I'm honest, I'm saying they're leaks. Massive quotation marks here because they seem odd to me.
We're into the dark realms of Reddit here, and that's it's very hit and miss. Sometimes they're
Yeah.
bang on.
Yeah.
Sometimes people seem to be just make them up for a clout or for a bit of a laugh or whatever.
Exactly. I mean, how hard is it to do in Photoshop nowadays? People could probably do it in Paint nowadays, you know. But basically, there's apparently some leaks coming out in relation to Custodes, AdMech, and Orcs, I believe it is.
Sisters and Tyranids.
Yeah, Sisters and Tyranids.
And this is around points changes, is that right?
Yeah, some points changes across the board. But I mean, even on paper, if you look at the meta watch, you kind of knew the points changes were coming anyways. And this is probably just sounds like they're just jumping on that boat to get some clout online. But
yeah, I mean, the proof will be in the pudding as always. But you're exactly right. There is the reality of the AdMech players are still making very sad toaster noises because their codex is awful.
Which is a shame as well. So I'm sitting there laughing, but the Necron one came out, and I'm really enjoying it. So I feel bad.
The Necron one is good, but everybody should be able to enjoy their codex. And I know it's fashionable online that it's binary. Everything's, again, that's not a pun for AdMech players, sorry. But it is everything. On 40k social media, everything's either amazing or shit.
Yeah, there's no in between.
So yeah, we try and find a nuance, but it's difficult with the AdMech codex because it's just not very good.
Yeah.
So they need a leg up. Custodes, they had like a quadruple nerf in the last data slate, really, or something like that. There was like they got hit in 3 or 4 different ways. So they need some love.
Yeah.
Sisters, NIDS players. Our friend Lewis has also said,
he's looking to sell his at the minute.
I mean, he's so, which is heartbreaking because he's so disappointed in the codex that he was prepared to start. I had a long conversation with him online.
Trying to buy them off him, were you?
No, on the cheap. Like, your price is still too high.
This is a shame, mate. I'll buy them for you. Consoling him, were you?
Well, I was just like, look, you love Tyranids. You've spent so much time painting them. They look lovely. Just put them in a box and just forget about them. And I said the meta will change, the rules or the points will change.
There's always 11th edition as well. but it's good.
Whether these rumours are right or wrong, I think we can both agree that the way Stu Black's team and GW is approaching balance in this game and how proactive and reactive they are is much, much better than it's ever been. They are quick on the ball now, aren't they?
They are. And I mean, they've done a really good job so far as well. The last Meta Watch that we're
the last Meta Watch is good.
There's only 2 of them, Eldar and Dark Eldar.
Yeah, that are out of the Goldilocks zone. So they're doing, so in that respect, I think it's, I am expecting the balanced data slate to be reasonably chunky, and particularly for those factions that are not doing very well.
Yeah.
What surprised me was, if this is true, why Dark Eldar aren't on there when they are at the bottom, and as you just pointed out, Eldari are at the top, like outside of the Goldilocks zone. So the first 2 factions surely that would be getting addressed
would be those two. Yeah, based on data and stats.
Yeah,
what came out of these leaks are just kind of people complaining online.
Yeah,
which is just like.
Yeah, and as I said, I'm not going to argue with Custodes and AdMech for sure need something. I think the issue with Tyranids partly is that the play is not very. They're not fun to play.
Yeah,
they're
it's not like the way
they're not trash in terms of competitive stats, are they?
Well, like from the way I've heard it being described is that they don't feel like Tyranids anymore. Yeah. Like 10th edition at 9th edition they were. Yeah. They had all these changing abilities that moved on against the game. And it was like, oh, this is how the Mine Hive would kind of work. And now in 11th it's like flat. You are swarm, you go forward, kind of thing. And that's
they went a bit too far in taking too much flavour out and the codex didn't put enough back in.
Exactly.
Good. But they also, I mean, you raised a very good point in our notes here, is like it's proper potato cam pictures as well, aren't they?
Yeah, oh my God. Like, I get their leaks, right? And I get like, oh, leaks are mysterious. And like, like, it's like the UFO sightings. It's like, it's always the guy, he has like a 360p camera. He's like, oh, I'm going to get the guy, I'm going to get that, I'm going to get the UFO. And it's awful. It's very similar to the Warhammer leaks.
Yeah.
Always blurry.
Sorry, blurry shit.
If you're going to leak something, get a good photo. Please, like, make it worthwhile. All right?
Yeah.
You'll get more likes, you get more subscribers, whatever you want.
We shall see. What is guaranteed is there will be a January data slate, and I think it will be a chonker. I think it's going to be quite big, and it's going to shake the meta up.
Be good to see. Well, the main other bit of news that came out was the Combat Patrol boxes as well. Magazines.
Combat Patrol magazine, and we'll do a deeper dive into this because this has sparked massive amounts of conversations online about whether it was actually good value, who's going to buy it.
Yeah.
So Let's begin at the beginning then. So
Why
what
not?
is it?
Do you want to start off with what it is? I covered a lot of
Well,
stuff.
it's Warhammer 40k Combat Patrol. It's the next magazine from Hachette Partworks, who are the people that currently do the Stormbringer magazine for Sigmar.
Yeah.
But they also did the very, very successful and very popular Imperium magazine for 40k. So if you are not familiar with this, the way it works is it comes out weekly. Each edition of the magazine comes with something for the hobby, which is usually minis on sprues, or you also get some paints, some other tools like brushes, etc. as well in there. But largely it's models, and the reason it's so popular is because very often it's like Imperium in particular was a lot cheaper than buying from GW.
It was super cheap.
Yeah.
It was like some of them were like $7.99, were they? Or
I think they were $7 or $8.99, and they were. There was sprues where you would get like 5 flayed ones for $8.99.
Yeah, at one point, I wasn't subscribed to the Imperium one at the time, but when I was keeping an eye on tracking when the flayed ones are coming out. As soon as they did, I jumped straight on eBay. I picked up, I think, 4 magazines for, I think it was like 11 quid, 12 quid a pop.
Yeah.
And the flayed ones online, like £28 from the GW website already. So you're already saving, I was saving lots of money.
I think they're 35 quid from GW now.
35?
Yeah.
That's worse. That's
Yeah.
worse.
So it's a weekly magazine. You can subscribe online, so you get it delivered from Hachette, but they obviously, for postage reasons, only deliver it once a month, so you get 4 issues at a time rather than once a week. Or you can also, some retailers also stock it. So a very famous one is Forbidden Planet.
Yes.
So they stock it, but also quite a few news agents will stock it.
Yeah, WH Smith in the UK, they sell them as well.
Yeah. So you can, if you are lucky, you can dive in and just pick up specific, if you know which models you're after or which units you're after, you can pick up specific magazines rather than have to subscribe to the whole thing.
And it's probably worth mentioning as well, this one is quite different from the last ones, because the Imperium one that they've done primarily focused on 2 factions, wasn't it? It was the Space Marines and Necrons, wasn't it?
It was massively those two. You got the odd bits from other factions, like there was a few Sisters editions, I think, Sisters of Battle.
Yeah.
But generally speaking, it was mainly those two.
Just those two.
Because those two were the factions in the starter sets, weren't they?
Exactly. And then this one itself contains not just 2 factions, but 9 in total.
Yeah.
Which I don't know how I feel about that one. I feel like 9's a bit much. Like, I've got 3 armies. I don't need an extra 7.
I mean, we'll touch on this later, but it's a bit of an odd one. It really is.
It is.
Price-wise, this is going to be $9.99 in addition, and there's going to be 80 issues to start with. They usually do 10 bonus ones at the end, but there will be 80 issues for sure. The first few are discounted. The first one's £3, I think, and the next 2 are £7.
Spot on.
So you're looking at a grand total of £787 for the full 80 editions.
So on paper, it does seem pretty pricey.
Yeah.
You know, for that amount of money for what's it, 80 weeks worth of stuff.
Yes.
So quite a bit of money. But
if you subscribe via Hachette, which I've done for the Stormbringer one for Sigmar, they just bill you monthly, so it comes out basically when you get paid.
Yeah.
But yes, so as we mentioned here, there's 9 full combat patrols, but there's also some extra units, paints, clippers, binders. I think you get a mug.
Yeah.
But what are the factions that are included then?
So again, it's a bit of a strange one because Space Marines is still on the list.
Yeah, they're always going to be.
They're always going to be there. We keep mentioning it, but yeah, there's Space Marines, there's Tyranids as well, Leagues of Votan, Eldari, Astra Militarum, Gene Stealer Cult, Orcs, Chaos Space Marines, and World Eaters.
To be fair, that's a pretty good spread.
It is a good spread.
And when you've got 9, obviously there's going to be 2/3 of the factions are excluded, but that's still not a bad spread.
No, not at all.
I was surprised to see Chaos Space Marines and World Eaters. I thought you'd get one or the other. Yeah, but
they are completely different now as well, so it'll be nice to see it. But yeah, I guess adding it up, because again, what's it? Adding up the price for each combat patrol. Each combat patrol that's out there is currently £95 on the Games Workshop website.
That's right. Yeah.
So timesing that by the number of weeks that there is, that would only give you £855. So at a glance, the initial savings that you would look at that is only £68.
Aye, so you're paying $787 for the magazine, or if you bought the combat patrols from GW, it'd be $855.
Yeah,
right.
So at a glance, looking at it, it's kind of like for 9 different factions. My main question I would probably say is, do people really want 9 different armies or factions?
It's a bit
much, isn't it?
And there is on top of that, and I do this with the Stormbringer one, is you can pay an extra £2 per edition, so it works out an extra 160 quid over the course of the subscription. And this is only available if you subscribe with Hachette.
Yes,
but you can get 8 like bigger kits which are pretty good as well, aren't they?
Now they do bring in the money, like the money saving kind of stuff, aspect of element of it. But what do you get inside that?
Right, so there's only 8 kits because one of them is a Demon Prince and he can be used by the Chaos Space Marines or the World Eaters. So that covers the all 9 factions. But beyond that, you get a Hive Tyrant for the Nids. There's a Brutalis Dreadnought for the Space Marines, Howling Banshees for the Eldari, which are great models. The Brockia Thunderkin for the Votan. Killer Cans, which I absolutely adore, for the Orcs. Brood Coven for Genestealer Cults. And then last but definitely not least is a great big Rogel Dawn.
That would fit quite nicely.
Yeah,
I've only got 2, so if I see it, I might grab it. But
talk us through the prices of those ones then. So if you was buying them from GW, that's going to cost you quite a lot of money.
It would. So if you were to buy that, all those kits, it would be £347.50. So already, by going in through the Hachette magazine, you're saving about 54% on
that's
that.
Good.
It's a massive difference. And then if you were to buy all them kits, not from the GW website, but instead via like a third party, like Element Games, for example, they would only cost $278, which still is a saving of 43%.
That's really good.
Yeah. So again, 160 via the magazine or 278 versus buying the manual off the Element Games website. So it's a massive saving overall, but it's just like a case of, again, I'm gonna keep mentioning it, and sorry for everyone at home, but do you really want that?
Yeah,
models?
this is the challenge, isn't it?
Like, who was this also aimed at? Like,
well, so this was announced on the Warhammer website, which is a great news website.
Yeah, no, it is,
and everyone should go and check it out.
Been around for a while.
Yeah, they've got and they appear to have got a relationship with Hachette because they got the exclusive announcement and they've written some very positive articles about this. So their argument is that it's not aimed at existing collectors like us. It's aimed at new people coming into the hobby.
See, it's interesting.
But you raised the point already. Is like, if you're a new person coming into the hobby, you want one faction,
right? Yeah, like because the Combat Patrol box doesn't give you enough. And again, we'll go into the points later. But the Combat Patrol box doesn't give you enough points to play a game.
You can play Combat Patrol.
You can't play Combat Patrol. But again, it's like, how many models are there, and how long will it take you to complete one of those Combat Patrol boxes?
Yes.
Like, how are they going to release the schedule so that, within 12 weeks, let's say you're going to start World Eaters, just as a random example. What if week 80 was the final model in that Combat Patrol box for World Eaters?
Yeah.
Are you really going to wait 8 weeks?
80 weeks
to play your Combat Patrol box? It just seems a bit weird. Like, it would have been, I mean, personally, I think I would have preferred it if they were like, let's do them batches. The first 6 weeks is going to be World Eaters.
All World Eaters, yes, and then you've got them. Yeah.
Exactly. The next some odd weeks is going to be this faction, and so on and so on. Because at least then you could maybe, I don't know, pick and choose a subscription instead.
Yes.
Be like, oh, I want to subscribe to the Imperial Guards.
Yes.
One.
Or, I know Imperial Guard are going to be, for the next 6 weeks, it's going to be Imperial Guard at Forbidden Planet. I'm going to go into and get them from Forbidden Planet.
Exactly. But the issue you have with that one is that isn't there a cutoff point? You can't opt into the magazine after a certain point in time as well?
I don't know what the we haven't got the details from Hachette about, but in the past there has been cut-off points for because I tried to subscribe to Imperium because I missed the boat with that, and they weren't accepting subscriptions. So that definitely is an issue. I mean, the challenge for Hachette is they need to try and gauge what the interest is. So they'll work out how many kits they need of GW for subscriptions, how many they're going to sell on retail, and then so they have to make a judgment call at some point to say we can't take anymore.
Yeah, it's really weird. And I think it's going to be really interesting because they have specifically said that this is a trial run as well, isn't it?
So this was clarified. So the first Warhammer article, they said this is a trial run of first 5 editions, and Warhammer's like, make sure you subscribe, otherwise it won't happen.
Yeah.
And then they came back and edited the article and said, actually, they've said it's almost guaranteed it's going to work. The reason they're going to do the trial is it will be in a couple of locations in the UK, and it's to gauge the retail sales rather than so it's to work out from that. They then model how many they'll need to do to produce for retail for the whole of the UK.
Yeah, interesting. Because it's completely different from what they've done before. So I'm surprised they're taking such a leap into it.
in the past, like you said, if the Imperium magazine was largely 2 factions. If you collected Space Marines, you were quids in, and you collected Necrons, you were quids in, and we were. I mean, like we've already talked about the flayed ones. There was kits where you got like a Catacomb Command Barge over 2 editions. There was kits where you got a Locust Heavy Destroyer for like 8 quid when they're 18 quid in the shops or whatever. The savings were around between 40 and 50% on GW prices. Really good.
And look online, I think people, Age of Sigmar players, they were also singing about it as well. They said that they've got massive good savings on it as well.
There's very good savings on the Stormbringer one, but it's caused massive issues to the second-hand market because both of the factions are quite bad. So the 2 main factions there are the Stormcast Eternals, which is like the AOS equivalent of Space Marines,
so the poster boys kind of thing.
Yeah, and the other one is Cruel Boys, which is an Orc faction, but it's like the worst Orc faction. Nobody likes it, so it's not performing very well in the meta. The models are quite cool, but the second-hand market, the prices have just like plummeted
because of this. Yeah, it makes sense. All would happen. Kind of thing, yeah.
So there's there are issues around it, absolutely, and the other thing is we've talked about the discounts from GW. If you look at Element Games, I totted this up. I reckon you'd pay less than £1,000 for all of these from Element Games for all these minis, and that represents a saving of about 17%. Now, to buy 9. First of all, if you don't want 9 factions, you're buying an awful lot of minis that you don't need. Potentially, you've got to sell on, which we've just talked about what that'll do to the second-hand market. Yeah. And secondly, for less than a 20% discount on what I can get from Element Games, is it worth the hassle?
Exactly.
Then you could just pick and choose from Element Games what you want to buy, or other friendly local gaming stores are available.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But I mean, like a quarter of that price that you just mentioned, £1,000 for that, you could go on Facebook Market and find an army that you like.
Yes.
Fully built, fully painted.
200 or 300 quid you can usually
an army
get,
you enjoy. Yeah. So again, I think it's weird because you mentioned this is targeting the newer hobbyists and not the core audience, but is that a bad call? Because there's probably a lot more people out there to bring into the hobby, especially with obviously the other news that are coming, like Henry Cavill and all that sort of jazz. But I mean, there's lots of us they've got a massive player base already. Surely they'd make a decent chunk of money off if they just honed in on that squad and focused on 2 factions.
I mean, existing Necron players, as we just talked about, and Space Marine players were all over Imperium.
Yeah.
I would imagine there will be fewer subscriptions to this and more people trying to buy from retail. And that's going to be interesting because there will, based on the way that Hachette does its modelling for retail, there won't be enough magazines to go around.
Yeah.
So that one's going to be interesting, absolutely. But I think for newer players, if you're a newbie, say you're like we were talking about 15-year-old Jack before, 15-year-old Jack's coming into the hobby, right?
Yeah.
Is he going to subscribe to this to get 9 different combat patrols? No, I don't think so.
Yeah.
It's an awful because it's not just building and buying and building them. It's also how much you need to invest in different paints to paint them in different colours.
That's very true, actually. Yeah.
And also the sheer amount of investment in terms of learning the lore and the play styles, etc. As we mentioned before, generally speaking, what happens when someone comes into the hobby is they go, I like this faction, they're cool, not Tau, and they're
Farsight though. Farsight.
I like this faction, they're cool, I'm going to invest in them and learn all about them, and that's usually how it works.
Yeah.
So the other way I could see it working was if you had a bunch of mates, say Baby Jack, Baby Dan, Baby Lewis, Baby Alex, etc. had got together, and you might say, right, you subscribe to this, Jack, and then I'll buy the World Eater models off you, and Maine will buy the Orc models off you, or whatever.
Yeah.
But 15-year-olds are not that organised. Like my 15-year-old can't barely get all of his friends to go to the Metro Centre at the same time on the same day. So it's a bit too much admin for 15-year-olds. They want easy, don't they?
They do. They really do.
The very last thing where I saw a lot of people buying Imperium was painters. So this is people that don't play the game, but they love to paint the models. So this was access to really cheaper models, discounted models, and they don't care what faction they are in a lot of cases.
Yeah.
So those people will potentially be more of the market, I think, than the newbies. I really think they've shot themselves in the foot as far as the newbies are concerned.
I think so as well. And I mean, here's a really good question. How many models do you paint a week?
None.
So what's the chances that you are? I mean, because I can't paint that many models a week. I've got a full-time job and other stuff going on.
Yeah.
How on earth are you going to find the time?
And the reality with this is, it comes in if you subscribe like I am to the Stormbringer one. This turns up once a month in like a cardboard box. 4 editions of the magazine. Sometimes there's 10 models on a magazine, like if it's goblins or something like that. I'm getting sometimes like 20, 30 models a month, and they all turn up at the same time. So you're like, just put them
back to the pile.
Yeah, into the pile of shame with you. Yeah,
it's
just not happening.
That's crazy. Like I'm not going to be able to paint that many models.
No,
all. Like, especially with my current backlog that I've got.
Yeah,
there's no way I'm going to be able to catch up.
No, and that in itself can act as a barrier to people not getting
almost
in the hobby,
maybe,
but staying in the hobby.
Yeah, it's like, initially it's like a unit, a unit in this magazine. Oh, this would be cool to paint up. You'll get that. You'll paint it. You might do it within a week because you kind of got that mentality or that like drive.
When you're
to be
excited at the start.
Yeah, exactly. And you get the next one. You're like, oh, I'm busy this week. I can't do this one because I've got football or I'm doing something. And the next week comes, you're like, oh, I've got this massive tank to build. And I'm like, oh no, then I've got all these crew to build. And you're like, oh, this is actually starting to pack up. And then that's where they might see like the drop off, so people canceling the subscription or people just not getting involved in the hobby.
I felt as when we were getting the Imperium magazines, I was buying them from newsagents. Obviously I'd already bought Necron models, but you kind of get used to how your faction looks and fits together. So it kind of informs how you build them and stuff. Mm-hmm. I mean, this is a great way to learn like how to build and paint everything, but I don't think many people want to do that.
Oh no.
I honestly think that there will be. I think some newbies will definitely sign up to it because it's advertised as being cheaper, and which it actually is.
It is, yeah. I mean, once you get into
you get a magazine as well, which explains some of the lore. There's painting guides in there, stuff like that. So, in that respect, they are newbie friendly, but it's just too much.
It is a lot. Should we get into the points per pound? Is what we like to refer to it as.
Yes.
So points per pound. If everyone doesn't know what that is, but it's basically points per pound. So every pound that you spend, you're getting X amount. And looking at the kind of charts that we kind of put together, because we went through and collected all the points that are going to be involved in each of the combat patrols. Now we are going to be focusing just on the combat patrols, not the premium subscription. But looking at a glance, Imperial Guard again, unfortunately, at the bottom, right?
Yeah, I mean, you've talked to this as a Guard player before, but it's expensive to buy a Guard army because of because infantry are so cheap.
So cheap.
Yeah, points.
Like 60 points
cheap
for a squad
points.
of 10 or something.
Well, the squad of 10 is 60 points, but it's still costing you like 30 odd quid from GW, isn't it?
It really is. At a glance, are you shocked or are you surprised by any of those factions that are up there?
I was surprised by Genestealer cults being quite one of the better factions, performing factions, points per pound. But let's go. Do you want to run through them from bottom to top? We'll do a top 9.
Yeah, certainly can there. Yeah. So looking at it, I guess for a brief description, everyone doesn't know kind of what we're referring to here. So the points per pound is basically just however many points that are there divided by how much money it is per army it would be. So looking at the worst army that's on there, we have Imperial Guard. So if you were to purchase the models
from GW,
the points per pound value was, for every pound you spent, it was 3.36 points.
Yeah, it's not good.
Not really good. And from Element Games, it's 3.95, and if you were to get it from the Hatchet magazine, it's 4.54.
So you can see there's like over a 50% increase, or just under a 50% increase between Hachette and GW points per pound, which is pretty good.
Exactly. So you can kind of get just already that Games Workshop bad, Element Games pretty good, and then Hatchet magazine is the best for the value for the money on this one. After that, we have the Space Marines sitting at, and what I'll do is I'll just cover the Hatchet magazine one because there's a lot of points to talk about there. But the Space Marine, you're going to be getting, for every pound that you spend, you get 5.6 points.
Nice.
Pretty good. Next one is Leagues of Votan. You get 6.18 points.
Yeah, 6.1 is really good for, I mean, you were already nearly double, 50% more than what you're getting on some of the earlier ones.
Exactly. On God.
Yeah. There's a big difference on these, isn't there?
There is. It keeps on growing from here as well.
Go on then.
Orcs is 6.52 points per pound. Tyranids, we've got 6.46. Eldari, we got 6.75. Chaos Space Marines, we have 6.98. Gene Stealer Cults is 8.52. This is where we see the big leap in point wise. And then World Eaters sitting top again is 8.92.
So if my maths is right, which it rarely is, but if my maths is right, then the World Eaters, you are getting double the points per pound that you're getting for Imperial Guard.
Exactly.
Wow.
So this is again coming a strange one, because across the board you are saving money. So it really depends on what you're looking for in the hobby. Like if you're brand new to the hobby and you are, on a budget, and you're like, right, I need to get a 2,000 point list on the table just so I can play, just so I can kind of play with my friends. I would probably say the World Eaters is the shout for the amount of points that you get in this army. That's where you want to sit with. And I think that's the same for the Christmas box sets that came out as well. World Eaters sat pretty high.
Yes, they did. You're right. Yeah.
So World Eaters are getting quite a bit of love. And now this might just be because they haven't got very many points. Models in their range yet.
Well, that's the other thing, is it's quite an easy starter army because there's not that many models in the index yet. Yeah. So you get a reasonable amount of what you need in the combat patrol, don't you?
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, there's definitely them. I was surprised at Gene Stealer Cults because I would have expected the cultists to be quite cheap and then therefore to have the same issue points wise with the guard have. Yeah. So to see them up there is really interesting as well. Maybe that'll change when the points we're getting this data slate in January.
Yeah,
so
very true. We'll have to see. Because that'll obviously change all these stats that we've got here. But as of now, these are up to date, so we're happy with that. And yeah, so I guess going on to the savings element of it, the one sitting at the very top again is World Eaters. They save the most amount of money. So if you were to purchase this directly from the Hatchet magazine, price tag of £87, and we got that value by just taking obviously the grand total of 787 divided by 9, yes, 9 combat patrols. So that's how we got that value on that one as well.
Yeah. Yes, they represent. If you bought the World Eaters models from GW, 145 quid or 87 quid from Hachette is a £58 saving, which is a big discount,
massive discount. Yeah. And again, if you look at the savings element, it's a strange one because again, Space Marines, Votans, and Orcs all sitting about 41, 43, and £46 save. Yeah. So at a glance, if you look at it just retail value, again, you would be like, oh, great, I'm saving quite a decent amount of money on those ones. Yes. Let me pick up this box set or this magazine collection because I'm going to save the most money.
Yeah, you're going to save about a third on there, which is pretty decent.
It is decent. But then again, if you go back to the points, Space Marines are the second worst for points per pound. Yeah. So are you really saving money? Because at a glance, yes, I'm saving money at base value. Yes. But if you're getting less points in that box set, that means you're going to have to buy more boxes outside of that box set to get the 2,000 point list.
If you're going to buy Space Marines anyway, then it obviously is a saving. If you're looking for the army that's going to, as you said, if you're on a budget and you want an army that's affordable, then Space Marines is not it, which is surprising, really.
Yeah. It is.
I mean, the other thing to say about this is if you are trying to get into, if you are a newbie that was wanting to start collecting Space Marines, I would not advise you, or Tyranids for that matter, would not advise you to buy the combat patrols because the starter sets there's 3 starter sets, like a basic, a medium, and an elite one, if you like. Yeah. And the points per pound you get from those is much better than you get. And the savings that you make is much better.
Exactly. And then, like I say, for the point side of things, again, Imperial Guard are right at the bottom on this one. Yeah. They are. Again, you're getting, for this magazine, you're only getting 395 points. Yeah. So it's just not great. You need times up by 4 minimum.
Well, for a 2,000 point list, you need five. I mean, obviously you wouldn't do that, but you'd need 5 boxes. Yeah. But yeah, you're not. When they first came out, combat patrols, they always felt like they were around the 500 point mark, and that felt right. But there are wild variations now.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, double the Imperial Guard one, and you're kind of close to the World Eaters.
World Eaters 780. They're 10 really points off double the Imperial Guard points value in a box. That's a huge swing in a box.
Massive swing.
Chaos Space Marines pretty decent. I mean, they're over 600 points. Gene Stealers are well over 700 points. Yeah. And then Space Marines are under 500, and the rest sort of sits in between that 500 and 600 mark, which is decent.
It is decent. It is. Is there anything in particular you want to look at inside of each of the armies and what units
we'll quickly overview what's in each one if you want. So we'll start with the Guard.
Yeah, certainly.
So the Guard you get the Cajun Commander Squad, which are great models. They're relatively new edition, aren't they?
Terrified me in 9th, but yes.
Are they the ones where one of them can like point at you and turn your arm invulnerable save off?
That was horrible. I had that in a couple of games, and it wasn't fun. Basically, my Catan going down in one turn it was hurtful. It really was. But
I'm going to point at you and turn your invulnerable save off, and then these guys are going to shoot you to death with las guns. Like, the indignity of being shot to death with las guns.
Not fun.
But yeah, you get the Cadian Command Squad, 65 points. You get a Scout Sentinel, which is a great model as well. New model, 60 points. 2 of the Field Ordnance Batteries at 120 points. 20 Cadian Shock Troops at 120 points. And a Commissar, I always like a good Commissar. But yeah, you're getting your 395 points there, which is not amazing.
So reading it out doesn't really sound that like a lot, does it?
I mean, 20...
there's no tanks in there. I know you've got the Rogal Dawn in the premium set later, but not very good.
Yeah, it's not amazing. What about Space Marines?
Mm-hmm. I don't have the document open. You'll have to read them out. You have to listen to your luscious voice on this one.
Oh, no, you poor people. So Space Marines, we get Terminator Captain, 75 points, Terminator Librarian, which is the same, 5 Terminators, 5 Infernus Marines, which are the guys with the flamers that come in the starter sets.
Yep.
And a Primaris, the extra model is a Primaris Chaplain on bike. So you get a reasonable spread there.
Not bad.
And that comes to 495 points.
Mm-hmm.
Terminators kind of bulk that up a bit because they're 185 points in their own. So
they are pretty pricey. Yeah. And they're just good units as well because obviously they have been revamped in 10th as well. So
they're lovely models.
Everyone loves to see the Terminators.
I'll be very interested to see with that one if they are the push-to-fit models from because I think that was the case with some of the, obviously Space Marines were in the starter sets for 9th edition, and some of those models were push to fit as well, like the Assault Intercessors, and I'm pretty sure the ones in Imperial Magazine were the push to fit ones.
Yeah, makes sense.
So it will make sense. Yeah.
Do you like the push to fit? Random question for another.
For me personally, yes, because I'm not I have no intentions at the moment of kit bashing stuff because I'm not there yet, and my favorite part of the hobby is playing the game.
Yeah.
So the building and the painting is a kind of a function to get to on the tabletop.
Steps to get there.
So if they make that easier, then I'm happy with that.
Makes sense.
But I know some people prefer.
Yeah, I do like it. I do like the push to fix. I think it just makes the hobby easier. And then especially if you run out of glue, it's like, oh, thank goodness. You still have the option to get them in there and get them built. So overall good.
Good.
But we'll go next.
Votan. So you get the Combat Patrol, and then the bonus unit is the Einherjar Hearthguard. When I'm talking about bonus units, this is not the premium unit that comes with the premium subscription. It's just an extra unit that they chucked in.
Yes.
So
it's like a Combat Patrol box plus
an additional unit. Plus something a bit more fancy.
Very nice.
So you get Uthar the Destined, the name character, is a great model as well. You get 3 Hearthkin Pioneers, which are their annoying bikes. 10 Hearthkin Warriors, which are the battle line. 5 Chthonian Berserks, which are also love the models of these, and then you get 5 Einherjar Hearthguard as well, which are their versions of Terminators. So this comes to 540 points, so it's very respectable. I would say
not bad. I've got the document loaded there now, so you can all listen to my luscious voice.
Excellent.
We have the Orcs next. So in this list we have the War Boss with Mega Armor.
Yes,
we've got the that's 80 points. We've got the Death Dread for 130, and we've got 3 Death Choppers.
The Death Copters, absolutely love them.
They're 100 points. We've got 40 Orc Boys for 170 points, and the Boom Daka Snazwagon for 90 points. And I think, to be fair, so far, listening to all the lists, that sounds like a very nice selection.
That one is one of the better spreads, I think, of models. Yeah,
very nice to see. What we've got next after that, the Tyranids.
Yes, our friends and Nids, and again, I would expect these to be, my educated guess would be pushed. These will be the push to fit ones out of the starter sets.
Yes, makes sense.
Nice spread again here. You get the Tyranid Prime. You get a Psychophage.
Yeah.
You get 3 of Von Ryan's Leapers, which are new models as well, aren't they?
They are very nice. Yeah.
5 Barb Gaunts.
Yep.
20 Termagants, which are your little bugs, your swarm of bugs, your battle line.
Yep.
You get 2 Ripper Swarms. And then you also get the Parasite and Mortrex as well.
Yeah, all relatively new models, but because they've obviously got a massive refresh of the range selection as well. So I think all of them pretty much new models or at least new kits.
Yeah, really nice looking kits.
Really good selection on that one as well. So what we've got next, the Eldar.
Yes,
amazing. We have we've got the Farseer for 80 points. We've got the Wraith Lord for 160 points. We've got 6 Wind Riders for 160.
That's your bikers, I think, isn't it?
It is, certainly. 2 squads of 3, those ones.
Mm.
We've got 10 Storm Guardians
yeah.
for 115. And then the top one, the
Autarch, yeah.
Yeah, for 75 points as well.
Yeah.
I can't actually remember what that top one is.
He's he's just a character model that isn't a psyker, I think. Yeah, I think.
Imagine not being a psyker.
Maybe he is a psyker. Some Eldar. Obviously, we get loads of Eldar players because we talk so nicely about Eldar watching this. But
maybe the Dark Eldar side. Of things, but not the.
Anyway, tell us in the comments if we've got that wrong. But yeah, the Autarch is like their version of a captain. As far as
there must be a psychically linked, aren't there? Because obviously all Eldar, right? But very nice, good selection again. What's next? Chaos Space Marines is the next one.
Yes. So in this one, you get the Dark Apostle. Mm-hmm. You get 10 Chaos Space Marines, like the Legionaries. 5 Havocs. You get a Hellbrute, which is their Dreadnought, isn't it?
Right. Yeah.
And a Master of Possession is like the bonus model, which is a nice model as well. So totally, just over, they're nudging over 600 points for this one. So that's pretty decent.
That's up there. Yeah. I think it's like the 4th one in our list. Very nice little selection there.
Yeah, and they're fun. Chaos Space Marines are a lot of fun. Our friend Louis collects those, and they are, as long as you don't mind painting lots of trim, they're great models, great looking models.
He hates it. And then after that, we got the Genestealer Cults.
Yes,
I read that first of all when I was doing our little pre-production side of things. I read that as Magnus, and I was like, "Wait, Magnus is in here? What's going on?" But no, it's Magus. I believe that's how it is.
Yeah, Magus. I think Magus or Magus. Yeah, which is their psyker, I think.
There we go. I can see where the name kind of gets crossed over. But that's 50 points for him. We've got the Goliath Rock Grinder for 155 points. We've got the 5 Aberrants.
Yeah, 5 Aberrants, yeah.
For 185. We've got the 5 Acolyte Hybrids for 85 points. We've got 20
Neophyte Hybrids, yeah.
Neophyte Hybrids for 180 points. And then lastly, we've got 5 Atalan Jackals.
That's their bikes, yeah. So the Rock Grinder is one of their kind of truck things, isn't it? Like mining truck.
Yes.
And then the Jackals are the bikers.
Yeah, I remember those ones kept on coming back, don't they?
Yes.
Horrible.
Yes.
Horrible. Great. And then obviously the top of the pecking order, we have World Eaters.
Yeah, so the Genestealer Cults are they're just under 750 points. I think it's 745. I've got that right.
Yeah.
And then World Eaters, top of the tree, with massive 780 points, as we mentioned earlier.
Yeah.
You get the standard Combat Patrol box, and then you get a model which you can build either as a Mauler Fiend or a Forge Fiend, which is again a lovely model. So you get the Lord Invocatus. You get 20 Khorne Berserkers.
That's what you want in that kind of list, don't you? You just want to get in people's faces with that.
Yes. And 10 Jackals, and then the Mauler Fiend or the Forge Fiend.
Very nice.
So the Khorne Berserkers take up like half those points at 400. You got the Invocatus at 140. You can build him as something else for slightly less points, but we just for the purpose of this, we just went with the maximum.
Yeah.
And then you've got your Jackals and your Forge Fiend. Again, the Mauler Fiend is slightly lower points, but we went with the maximums for these calculations. Mm-hmm. So yeah, that's it. So there is most of those have a pretty decent spread.
Yeah,
but there is a lot of models. Which will come on. In terms of your final thoughts, mine were that I like Warhammer as a website a lot. It's a very good independent news source, and they are a bit like ourselves. They'll, if GW does something that's worthy of praise, they'll praise it. If they do something that's worthy of criticism, they'll criticize it. Yeah. So you expect a certain amount of journalistic integrity from them, I suppose. In this case, I didn't feel like that was right.
Yeah.
That was true. That they
it was all positive, wasn't it?
They've gone very soft on. They've gone very soft on Hachette, and they own the calculations on their website about the savings are only based on versus GW. They haven't looked at like an independent game store for obvious reasons, because it doesn't look as compelling, does it?
No, it doesn't.
But I would, normally they go into that kind of level of detail, and I would have liked them to have done that.
And they were also maybe worth mentioning as well, which isn't a bad thing, I don't see, but one of the paragraphs that they had on there was actually not redacted, but it was like scribbled out, and it was corrected. So it looks like they were already being told, oh no, this is now being confirmed. It was something to do like the the
trial period,
wasn't it?
yeah, that's right.
Which again is good and bad because people read it to get the most up to date information. So it's quite nice that they were being corrected. Straight away.
100% that they went back and got it correct. Yeah, that was really good. And they didn't do a GW where they just like removed the paragraph that was wrong and then replaced it with something. They left it in there but crossed it out. And
it's good in case like you read something and you're like, oh no, I'm sure I read this somewhere, and you go back in the article and it's not there, and you're like, wait, was that remembering it wrong? Or
full marks to them for that, for only like if you make a mistake or if the information changes,
exactly.
Own it, and that's what they did.
100%, nothing wrong with that.
But it felt a lot like they were trying to do the selling work for Hachette a little bit on this, and normally they're a bit more independent.
Yeah,
and there's, everyone has to make a living. If they've got a relationship with Hachette, that's fair enough. But
well, I think for me, like I don't think I'm going to be purchasing this personally. I just feel like it's not for me. Like none of the armies are in there are my armies. I mean Tyranids for sure, but I don't really need that many Tyranids, and I don't really want to wait X amount of weeks until I get the weekly one for the Tyranids one that I want. And I don't want all those extra models to build and paint. So not sold myself. I might at most have a look to pick them up cheap online for the magazines that I want, but I probably won't subscribe personally.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see. I think a lot of people are in the similar boat. If I was coming into this with no other ties to Hachette, I would probably not do it. The only reason I might do it is I currently subscribe to Stormbringer, and as I talked about earlier, I'm not going to get into AOS. I'm too busy with 40k, and it's just stacked up as a pile of shame. So I could just change that subscription over to this one. And in theory, in theory, I'm not then losing any money because I was already paying for Stormbringer. Yeah. So I might do that, but I mean, going back to the value of it, if you're looking to get into the hobby and you want some models, this is good. This is good for you because you're going to get a really good selection. Yeah. And from this selection, once the magazine's over, you can look at the models that you enjoy. This is probably a really good point actually. You could finish this magazine collection, save a boatload of money, and then decide, right, which army would I now like to expand upon. I suppose, it gives you. That's a very good point. So it would give you the opportunity to try 9 different factions and then decide which one you want to progress with.
Yeah, because also there was those new rules, so the combat patrol rules now as well. Yeah. So you could build up 9 armies, play a couple of your friends, or be the main person who has all the armies. Have a few friends around who play the combat patrol rules. And then once you've all decided, be like, actually, tell you what. Now that we've all kind of you could get 9 friends if anyone has 9 friends out there. 9 friends out there to basically come together.
Just counting. Hang on.
Yeah, hold on. I'm not free. Yeah. But yeah, basically count them all up and be like, right, let's all split this out by 9 people, and then everyone pick their own army, and then be like, this is a good starting point. Let's expand on that.
But in the same respect, like, does that give Hachette enough of a business model? Because
9 people sharing one subscription.
9 people sharing one subscription. No,
doesn't.
It's a tricky one, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, we talked a little bit before about this sky size and scale of it, and you just made a good point there in terms of it's almost like try before you buy different factions.
Yeah.
My another way to do that would be join a friendly local gaming club, and then people will let you try their factions. If they bring the minis and. I'll let you play with them. You don't have to buy them.
Because I think the main whole point is that people just want to play a Warhammer at the end of the day. And if you haven't got the models, it's not an issue. I mean, we play all the time and we're just like, I want to try this unit, but I've not got it. It's like, we'll bring a unit that looks similar.
Bring something that looks similar. Like you played a game where you proxied Ophidian Destroyers with Wraiths. I mean, they're not a million miles away, are they?
No, same base size and all sorts of stuff. And again, it's that thing, try before you buy. And this is, again, good to try before you buy or sink in the money. But at initial glance, 797 quid, still a lot of money to get into to try before you buy.
Yes, it is. I mean, it's over a year and a half for the if you think it's weekly, over 80 issues at 40 quid a month is quite expensive for a teenager. I would have thought still. So there's in terms of if you feeling overwhelmed at building and painting that many models, there's over 230 minis in the standard set that I counted up, and there's almost 240 in the premium, and obviously some of those are bigger and more complex kits.
That's crazy. Crazy.
So you would end up with a lot.
Being able to like opt in and opt out,
yes,
at certain points in time would be nice. And again, maybe if they bulk them together, i.e. the first 7 weeks, as we mentioned before, is like Imperial Guard.
Yes.
The 7 weeks after that is World Eaters, and so on and so on. So that people could be like, I'll tell you what, I don't want to subscribe for the entire thing, but can I just subscribe for just this patrol box kind of thing? I think that would, to me, make a bit more of a better sense than for the business model aspect of it, to get people involved. Because again, then you would have 9 different subscriptions opposed to 9 people sharing one subscription.
Yeah, I'm really not. There might be something that we're completely missing here, but for as a newbie, I wouldn't want 9 factions. I'd find that daunting.
Yeah,
I would like 2 or 3. I think if you're sharing a subscription with a few mates, where you end up with a faction each or a couple, that's not too bad.
No,
but again, that means fewer sales for Hachette. Does that make it viable? We'll just have to wait and see.
Definitely.
Am I going to be buying it? I might, if I'm allowed to switch my subscription over from Stormbringer, I will. If I'm not, I probably won't. I'll just dive into the odd issue if there's something there that I want.
Buying them manually,
I mean, all the downsides that you've mentioned there, I don't think they justify a 17% discount from the likes of Element Games, or
that's it.
You know, you can get them cheaper as well from Goblin Gaming, or sometimes
eBay
even somewhere like eBay or whatever. So. For the sake of for 20%, like 17% saving, for example, if something is if you're buying a Combat Patrol for 100 quid, you're going to save £17. I don't think I'd bother. I think I'd just buy the one rather than have to invest another 700 quid in the other.
Exactly.
In the others.
Exactly. Or again, picking up a full army built, painted from Facebook Market or eBay might just be a better call in all aspects. But yeah, you know, keeping up with all that painting, it's just going to be a nightmare. Not for me. I've got too much to paint already, so definitely not going to do that. Yeah,
you raised a really good point about value in the second-hand market as well. So, as I said, I'm not buying any new models in this new year. No models, but between Christmas and New Year, I ordered like second-hand Necrons, and I got like nearly 4 or 5. You did. You got 400 or 500 quid's worth for for less than 200 quid.
Really good.
Yeah. You can find, and I've seen pictures. The guy's done a lovely job. He's obviously looked after them. He's done a lovely job of building them. They're painted to a reasonable. Obviously, I'm going to try and paint them in my style, but if I wanted to, they would be usable out of the box, and that's. For somebody like me who who wants to play the game rather than is more interested in the building and painting side of the hobby, go and have a look on Facebook Marketplace. There's WhatsApp groups, buy-sell groups all over the place, are well worth a look.
Definitely.
And I just, hand on my heart, I wanted to be more excited about this. I'm not.
You know, when I heard the magazine come back out again, thought back to the Warhammer Imperium one, and I was like, oh my god, yes, this would be great. Even if it was like if it was Town, like again, just focus on 2 factions. I think that would have been more appealing to be like, well, I'm going to have a full army of Town, a full army of such and such to get up and running. I probably would have subscribed to that one, but 9 different armies is just a bit much for me. Yeah, a bit much.
So it's an interesting one, and if let us know in the comments if you are going to buy it, why you're going to, and if you're not, let us know in the same as well. Tell us what your thoughts are about this. We don't think it's while it is better value than even from buying from an independent game store, we don't think that additional savings is worth the hassle.
Yeah, definitely not.
Which is a shame. I wanted to be coming into this and saying I was excited about this, but I can't justify it.
Yeah. Well, I think that's everything for the final thoughts, right? Anything else?
Yeah, just to say thank you again for all the engagement we're getting on social media and on particularly on our YouTube platform. So please keep liking, sharing, and subscribing, and let's
commenting as well.
Yeah,
again. New Year's resolution to reply to all comments. So
yes.
Please do keep on bringing them. So thank you so much again. Thanks for watching.